Force, and the Force is with me. I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me. So be it, Jedi.
Hey, everybody, welcome. It is Thursday night. We are here on the Cantina Happy Hour. We are ready to talk Star Wars, and nothing but Star Wars. I am your host, David. We are so glad you're here. You're watching the show with us. We'd love to see your comments. With me, as always, is Debbie. How are you, Debbie?
I'm good. Excited to discuss the season finale.
It was a short season finale this season. It was
It was, but it was jam packed. I mean, come on.
It was nonstop. Also with us tonight is Cam from Cam and Focus. How are you,
Hello. Doing good. How are you?
Oh, we're good. Always good. It's nice and warm here. I needed to put my tank top on today. Sun's out, guns out. Okay, Mandalorian. We are sadly at the season finale of season 3 of The Mandalorian. It's kind of a bittersweet ending, just because I'm ready to go. I'm ready for another season, but who knows when that will happen? You've got so much other stuff coming out. John Biscardi, yeah. Sure, why not? They're cap guns. You got a problem with that? This episode was just it was nonstop, action packed, like Debbie said. This was a Michael Bay episode. Dave, we know you're watching. This was your Michael Bay episode. Go watch it. You'll like it. Just a whole lot of pew pew, shoot, gun. Pew, pew. A lot of it was I don't want to say. I mean, some of it I didn't see coming, like the whole bit with that there was a scene. Now, obviously, Din Djarin got captured at the end of the last episode, and then you had the other Mandos, and they were blocked off, and Paz had the most heroic death on TV this year. We miss you, Paz. But so Grogu shows up to help Din Djarin. He just out of nowhere, they've got him captured, and we roll into this fight scene with him and the stormtroopers and the Praetorian guards. That the fight between him and the Praetorian guards, which was just, I don't know. I love watching that little thing jump around, the little puppet.
Yeah, it was definitely fun to watch. And what's funny is with the limitations of the puppetry, typically whenever people jump, you have some kind of wind up and then they launch. Whereas with Grogu, it's just like he just teleports from place to place.
Yeah. Praetorian guards are elite soldiers with the best training and equipment available, yet they couldn't beat a baby who trained them. Voldemort. Yeah. So I kept waiting for this to happen, and it didn't really happen until why wasn't he using the Force and throwing these guys around a lot sooner?
I don't know.
I was really looking forward to that.
I think it still wears him out a bit, because when he does use it, I mean, at least now he doesn't fall asleep. Like before, he would just, when he would use the force, he would just sit down and plop over and take a nap. Now he's just sitting down. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's scared to use it unless he absolutely has to.
I was just ready for a scene like in Revenge of the Sith when Yoda walked into the Emperor's throne room and those guards were just standing there, and all of a sudden they were just like, and they were not there.
I think a lot of it might have to do with the fact that Grogu isn't adept at using the Force in a combative situation just yet. I mean, obviously he's used the Force before, but it was more passive. It was more instinctual. Whereas with this, he actually had to direct it to action, and we hadn't really seen much of that before. So it was probably a bit of I don't want to say a learning curve, but definitely a different application of the Force than he was used to. So he probably just didn't have the grasp of that yet.
Yeah, that and the fact, I mean, he spent 2 years with Luke, so we know he's learned. You can't tell me he hasn't learned a crap ton of stuff.
He learned how to jump.
He learned how to jump. He's
But
learned,
that's all we were shown, really.
and obviously he's
And
got
lifting
some,
frogs,
yeah, he's got some kind of control of it too, because like you said, he doesn't pass out and fall asleep anymore when after a one-time use kind of thing. He's more comfortable using it, I guess is a good way to put it. So
Yeah, I just think that, yeah, he's learned probably quite a bit with Luke, but has never really had to use it in a real life situation where, there's all kinds of stuff going on, so I think, yeah, it might be some kind of learning curve, and he's never really had to. I mean, he's used it in the past in certain situations, but really not for a long period of time. And I mean, he was enjoying himself when he was up on that little platform trying to get away from the guards. I mean, you can hear him laughing.
oh yeah,
He's enjoying himself. He's having a blast. He's partying.
Yeah. Honestly, that right there was probably the most cartoony that the Mandalorian has ever gotten. All that all that was missing was the music.
little Benny
Okay,
Hill.
somebody
going
needs to add that to a video now.
on. Oh, I might
Do it.
I finally found my video editing software, so maybe I'll make that happen.
Do it.
Do it. You also had, well, besides Grogu and Din doing their thing, you had the other Mandalorians. They have begun this fight. I want to know what your thoughts are, because Debbie, you seemed rather adamant about this last week.
Yes, I do apologize to the armorer.
That's what I was going for.
I apologize.
Everybody
And
saw
really,
that.
I'm not mad about it. I'm mad, or I'm wrong all the time, so no big deal for me. But but I'm happy that it played out the way it did, because yeah, I thought for sure she was going to betray everybody.
Well, and
she's just playing the long game.
I think I was going to say, I think you weren't the only one, because I saw several things online, Facebook and Instagram and stuff, to where it was like, oh, she's gonna be working for Gideon by the end of this. A lot of people talking about that, just in chats, really.
Well, there was a lot of people, because I'm always on TikTok, but yeah, there was a lot of people thinking the armorer. There's a lot of people thinking it was Axe Wolves, which I guess that would make sense, because she basically took her fleet back from him. I mean,
he's kind of the one that, speaking of the fleet, isn't he he was the one that went back up to retrieve the fleet, right?
Mhm.
When they were so Gideon wasn't even there. But that was one of the things that I was almost I was looking at it when he goes up. They load everybody else onto the Fang fighters, and they land them all. And then he takes the cruiser, and he's just basically crashes it. He pulls a Holdo. He pulls a there. Look, they're referencing the Last Jedi. You see that?
Well, there was Phantom Menace in here too.
Oh yeah, there was a
With
lot of
the
stuff.
red, I don't know what those are called. Red barriers, red walls,
Oh,
whatever.
he called them
Laser
like,
walls or something.
yeah. He said he called them like shields.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, well, and we got that kind of vibe with Gideon when he was walking through there the first time around. That was my first thought was, oh, Phantom Menace.
And I don't know if you noticed this or not. Um, the stormtrooper's armor was Beskar. We're gonna assume it was Beskar because they were taking laser blasts as well, and it wasn't affecting them in any way, shape, or form. But if you go back and watch some of the fight sequence, especially between Din and the stormtroopers and Din and the Praetorian guards, he shoots them in the foot a lot.
Well, the boots
I-
may
I
not
was-
be made out of
I was
Beskar.
gonna say, I think the boots are a weak point because there were 2 or 3 instances where he shot him in the foot, and I'm like, all right, well, if it works.
Yeah, I don't know how you would walk in Beskar boots. So that might be a thing.
Sure, whatever. So he finally Din Djarin is looking for Gideon's command center, and he contacts Bo, and he's like, "Hey, can you read me? I'm headed to the command center." It's almost like he meant to get captured. That was kind of the vibe I was getting because she even answered like, oh, "Okay, go ahead. We're here. We're gonna duke it out over here." So I'm just looking at this, going, "Okay, so this is all part of the plan."
Well,
All
yeah,
gonna
but they
make
didn't even know the base was there originally.
well, yeah, that's true too. You always got to have a backup plan. You never know when you're going to run into an Imperial base. Ideally, you want to get to the command center. But he gets into the command center, and this is after the laser wall fight, and we finally get a good look at these clones. That Gideon, they walk through the cloning facility, and I was expecting Snoke. I was expecting Palpatine. I was expecting Jango Fett, maybe.
They did kind of make it clear in the last episode that what Gideon was doing was separate from Project Necromancer.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But when he had walked through, I believe it was probably a different part of the base, we did see other tanks that looked like to be failed Snoke.
Well, there was, I think that popped in season 2, if I remember right.
Yeah, in the volcano base on Navarro, I think.
I think you're right. Yeah. So anyway, and we got a good little jump scare there, just because
Poor Grogu.
poor Grogu. And I mean, even Luke jumped when he was watching. He was like, I was like,
honestly, I saw that coming a mile away. It's a requirement. If you're slowly zooming in on somebody's face and they're behind a thing of glass or in a tank or something, their eyes are going to pop open.
It's like the scene in
Jurassic Park.
Thank you, yes, the second Jurassic Park movie. I was like, you knew that,
yeah.
Or the aliens when they come up.
Exactly.
You know that thing's still alive. You know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, you even see it in the first Resident Evil movie. You know, when everybody walks away and the camera zooms in on the girl floating in the tank, and you just see.
Yeah,
it's like, of course.
Why not? Why wouldn't it do that?
I don't know. Get okay. So I don't know. I haven't really talked to anybody else about this. Maybe you guys will agree with me, or maybe you won't. I feel like in this season, I feel like Gideon was kind of an afterthought. Like he didn't really play much of a role in how the story
because he didn't
unfolded.
show up until like the last 2 episodes.
Well, yeah, but even then, if it felt like, I mean, his only purpose in the previous episode was just to say, okay, well, the Empire is working on this and this and this, and then now in this episode, it was just like he was just there to fight. I don't know. I just didn't get quite.
Well,
I didn't get much out of Gideon this time around.
everybody thought he was dead. At least
No,
the
there
Mandalorian.
was no official.
I mean, the only people who kind of knew that he might be alive is the people of the New Republic, and
Well, even then, it wasn't. It was because they
yeah,
found his
there was
shuttle.
a lot of rumors
Found the
going
shuttle.
around. Yeah, they found the shuttle, and I mean, they speculated, what was going on, but I never got to the Mandos, so everybody else is just assuming he's in jail or he's in trial or he's dead. So yeah, I think it was meant to be like I am alive.
I thought it was fine. It was a fitting end to his chapter. By the way, spoilers here. We are talking spoilers. If you have not watched the season finale of season 3 of The Mandalorian, I'm about to ruin it for you. He did die at the end of this one.
Or
We
did
think. All right, fine.
there's two theories rolling around the internet, and I kind of
Wait, let me guess, because I've stayed off social media yesterday, and I really have kind of tried to avoid it today, so my mind wasn't altered. But let me guess, either one, that was a clone, and the real one is still floating around somewhere, or 2, because he was wearing the Beskar suit, it actually protected him somewhat from the explosion, and he may have just been injured really bad, but he'll be back for season 4.
Those are the 2 theories. Yeah, there's a mustache gate going on TikTok, because the first 2 seasons he had a mustache. This season he didn't, and neither did the clones.
Oh.
So yeah, so they're calling it mustache gate. Us people who like to theorize and speculate.
Gideon has a mustache, his clones didn't. Congratulations. Doombot made it to Star Wars before they made it to the MCU. Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm honestly kind of hoping that was one of his clones, simply because like I said, I didn't get much out of Gideon this season, and I want more of him. I want there to be something major, something like super insane for him to be a part of and be a central part of, that the story is going to completely revolve around, because in this season it was just like, oh hey, by the way, he's still alive.
Yeah. Well,
and he's such a good villain. I like him as a villain. Giancarlo does it so well.
he's a great villain. He's very cool and calculating, like I would expect Thrawn to be.
But
he's also
monologued.
Oh, he monologued a lot.
He monologued so much, and every time I saw it coming, I was like, oh, this is where he's gonna give us a monologue. This is where he's gonna tell us his brilliant plan. And he did. And I don't know how I feel about it. It's fun on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's like, okay, come on, he's a better villain than that.
Well, I mean, he's egotistical, and I think he has to prove his intellect and how he's just much more superior than anybody else. I mean, narcissistic. That's what they do.
Ambrose says, you don't kill off a character of that magnitude by having him go grr and shake his fist at the fire. I honestly thought that was, I was like, well, I expected him to go out with a little more flair, a little more, excuse the pun, a little more bang than that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, he basically pulled a Willem Dafoe in Platoon. Ah,
yeah, pretty much, yeah. So the Mandos the Mandos win the day. It's really what it boils down to. They've won their planet back. And we see the baptism ceremony again. This time a little more safely. The first time we saw it, the kid went under the water and then the alligator attacked him. And then the second time we saw it, Den fell down an insanely huge hole. So this time we're just going to scoop a cup full of water out and say, okay, there. Yeah, you're good. It's good enough.
Yeah, well, the first time around they had to worry about a giant crocodile, and now this time around they have to worry about a giant mythosaur. So
that was Darth Gator.
And he ate the Mandalorians, but not just the Mandalorians, the women DeLoreans, and the children DeLoreans too.
Oh, okay. We need a new meme. We got to have a new meme. Oh lordy. So we had the baptism scene. We had the heartfelt. Debbie, did you cry when he said, I'll adopt him and he can take the creed"? Was that heartfelt and loving to you, or?
I didn't cry, but it was an all moment. I was just like,
Aw.
"Aww." And then the look on Grogu's face, I mean, he just like lit up like, "Oh my God, I got a daddy now, space daddy." Yeah, that was no, I did not cry. But
Well,
yes,
I honestly thought, I was thinking that initially, I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to have the whole next season if he's going to have to go and try and find Grogu's parents. And we're going to have to go to the Yoda planet because
nobody even knows
where that is. And he's going to have to, because we know from episode 1 that younglings are taken or that children are taken at a young age to be trained as Jedi. So Grogu wouldn't even remember his parents, theoretically.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I
would work with that species.
I'm kind of glad that they didn't go the route of we have to go and find Grogu's real parents because because it we've had enough. I mean, in the Mandalorian, even we've had enough of. Hey, in order to do this, you have to go here and find these things, and then you have to go here and talk to this person.
The whole second season was like that. It was like every episode was, okay, we're going to help you this far, but then you got to go see this person who's going to help you a little further, but then you got to go see this person who's going to help you a step further than that. So,
yeah, we had enough of that in The Rise of Skywalker. We don't need more of it. It's dangerous to go alone. Here, take this.
Here's a knife that mysteriously somehow matches the wreckage of the second Death Star from 30 years ago, because apparently that doesn't deteriorate.
How does that happen? That's where one of Willie's hid his treasure.
Yeah. Bad writing.
Well, that's just lazy writing. I don't have the clip. I need Chris, I need your clip. That's lazy writing.
Yeah, she's holding the knife up to the Death Star, and then Deadpool just walks out like, really? Come on, guys.
Couldn't have come up with some other way to do this.
I mean, I would have been cool with a map. I would have been cool with word of mouth. I would have. I would have been cool with cave drawings for God's sake, but I mean that's just
Well,
that just doesn't work for me.
It's funny that you say that because I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, well, she could have been told, or even like a riddle written on the side of a wall, kind of a thing. But
or with how the Sith Wayfinders were such a big deal, why not there be or some variant of a Wayfinder that takes her to the Death Star?
Yeah.
How did I don't remember. How did Kylo find his? Did he have maps or something, or?
I don't remember what led him to it. I think it was discussed briefly in the Rise of Skywalker novelization, but
it was in the movie. When he was on oh Lord, Mustafar. When he was on Mustafar, it was in Vader's castle. He went to Vader's castle on Mustafar. That whole first scene was him fighting the
Vader cultists.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
because
the Force.
He not necessarily the Force, but I mean he was probably there just looking for artifacts. I mean, he worshipped Darth Vader, so that was his idol and mentor. And I need something more. I need to find more.
At the same time, though, in the opening crawl of that movie, it said that Kylo Ren was basically on on some kind of crusade to find and kill Palpatine. So something along the way brought him to Vader's castle, where he found the Wayfinder, and boom.
Yep.
But I do wish that they had kept in the scene where he talked to the Eye of Webbish Bog.
Now I'm gonna have to go rewatch that movie.
I have been.
Well, I watched recently The Force Awakens, which is my favorite of the trilogy. But then I got on a Star Trek movie watch, so I've been watching a lot of Star Trek movies.
I've been meaning to watch Rogue One for a long time, just because I want to watch it again because it's amazing. But what do I know?
It is amazing.
Yeah. Okay. He goes back to Navarro. They give him a house. What did you guys think of the new Marshal of Navarro?
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it's nice to have him back.
Dadgummit, I wanted Cobb back. I wanted Timothy Oliphant back.
I agree.
He's filming his Justified new season.
He's filming the Cobb Vanth spin-off series, obviously.
Ooh,
I would not be mad.
I'd watch that.
I'd watch that too.
But actually, Luke said, because I asked about it, and Luke was like, well, he's the marshal of his own town. He's not going to, he's been taking care of those people. He's not going to leave them. And then he said, but wasn't he killed by Cad Bane? I said, well, he was shot. I don't think he was killed.
That was a shoulder injury.
No, I think at the end of Book of Boba Fett, you see I don't remember what he's called. The guy who does the cybernetics for the Tatooine Power Rangers.
Yeah.
You saw him working on Cobb Vanth.
Oh, I thought he was in a Bacta tank.
I don't think so. I think he was on a surgery table or exam table.
It's great because now instead of going to watch Rogue One tomorrow like I wanted to, I'm going to have to go back and watch the Book of Boba Fett to find out what happened to Cobb Vanth.
Yeah, I wish I had my notes. I would look it up. I have notes. They're just skewed.
You're gonna go back and watch the face-off between Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane. Go through it frame by frame, and it was like, oh my God, he didn't even hit Cobb Vanth. That's just as good of an actor as Timothy Oliphant is.
No, Cobb Vanth shot first. That's what we're gonna go with.
Yep, and Cad Bane frame jumped to the right.
Yeah, that's right.
In the Book of Boba Fett special edition.
With amazing new upgraded special effects. Okay, so I'm going to step back to the baptism because Din Djarin adopts him. He becomes Din Grogu, which I kind of like that better than just Grogu. So it's Din Grogu now.
Or Grogu Djarin.
But why? I don't understand the name.
It's like Son Goku. Just Dragon Ball Z. Sorry.
It's okay, Dave. I get it.
I
get
got you.
it.
I got
You
you.
can talk
I
directly to
appreciate
me
that.
now.
All right. Yeah, I didn't get, because I'm assuming Din Djarin. Din is his first name, so why wouldn't be Grogu Djarin?
Why wouldn't Din be his family name at the first, since he's
But
representing
why?
that family? Because
Everybody
he's
else in the Mandoverse uses their last name. Fett, Kryze, Vizsla.
no, it would be
Mm.
Catan, Clan Kryze.
Whatever. But yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
quite.
okay, well now hold on. Because the ones you just named off, oh well, Paz Vizsla, I guess. No. Pre-Vizsla Paz, no, even the Vizslas. I was gonna say the ones you just named off are not part of the Children of the Watch, the cult. So, well, and on top of that, Din Djarin's not. He's a Mandalorian, but he's not Mandalorian. He's not from the planet Mandalore. So, who's to say that that's the way his family is?
They could have explained it or something. I don't know. Because
It's a
now I'm
good.
just like,
It's a good thing Grogu wasn't adopted by the armorer, because then it would be the Grogu.
The Grogu.
Oh Lord.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. And so anyway, so he adopts the Grogu, then Grogu, and he becomes his apprentice, even though he cannot speak the vow. He still becomes his apprentice, and then she says, "You have to leave Mandalore now and take him on his journeys, just as you did when you were an apprentice." So that raises an interesting question. Is this the end of Din Djarin's The Mandalorian? And The Mandalorian will be, like I said 2 weeks ago, right before Celebration, and they announced it anyways, the Mandalorian will encompass the people, and maybe Din will pop in every once in a while, cameo kind of thing, saying, hey, we've been doing our thing. Or do they continue telling the story of Din Djarin and Grogu?
They'll continue the story, but and I think I've said this before. I don't know if it was last season or, well, it definitely wasn't the first season, but maybe last season I said this. But the Mandalorian, I don't think they're talking about Din. I think they're speaking of Grogu. He's the Mandalorian. This is his origin story. Because, like I said before, who else is going to tame the mythosaur? Grogu. He's already done it twice with the Rancor and the whatever that other thing was.
The hairy rhinoceros.
The Mudhorn.
Yeah, Mudhorn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. The hairy rhinoceros.
And when he looks right after he gets adopted and he looks into the water, I mean, he can feel the mythosaur, and the mythosaur can feel him. So foreshadowing.
We did get another glimpse at the mythosaur. That was
yeah. So
oh boy, I sure hope that Grogu makes a cameo in season 4.
Are you kidding? that little puppet's the greatest marketing thing ever. They've sold more toys than they know what to do with. All the t-shirts, you can't even buy a t-shirt now without Grogu on it.
Yeah, I think maybe they'll go back to the season 1 formula of going on bounties.
Well,
in the outer region or outer rims.
Would it be bounties or just checking Imperial movements and things like that? Are we going to see them in Ahsoka? Because is Ahsoka going to be out on the outer rim looking for Thrawn?
Could it be?
Have a nice little cameo with Din and Grogu. Maybe not a whole episode like they did with Book of Boba Fett, but
Not a whole
and
half of the
I don't
season.
mean I mean like a whole episode like where he's working with Ahsoka, not a whole episode dedicated just to them.
Right.
So
Yeah, well, when he was in the bar talking to Carson,
Mr. Miyagi.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he said something about bounties and
Well, he said I'm a
he wanted
bounty
to
hunter
be
by
very
trade.
select in his cases.
Yeah. He's an
And
independent contractor for the New Republic now.
so, like Stephanie says, I think they're going to need a new ship.
I thank you. I've said that since the end of season 2.
He's gonna have some kind of like towing line on the back of his ship, and you're just gonna see the ship going by with like a coffin in the back.
I can take you in warm, or I can take you in cold, or I
And,
can take you in under the frigidness of space.
and meanwhile, the poor guy is in the coffin being towed in the back. Let me out!
R5 had a pretty big role in this one.
He was the hero of the episode again.
Yeah.
Yes, falling in line with BB-8 and R2 and
Is he going to become one of the more? I'm gonna save that question. I'm gonna save that because I've got an idea for another episode. So we'll just save that. But yes, he followed orders. He was very brave. He got the little
mouse
mouse
droids.
droids. I always wondered what those things were for. They're to go after droids and turn their sirens on.
They're little cup car Hot Wheels.
Yeah. And did you notice they started hitting him too? They were just like the cops.
If there's one thing that Star Wars always gets right, it's the droid humor. I don't know how they do it, but they always get it right.
Except for that one arc in the Clone Wars, and we ignore that. But I saw that, Debbie.
It's okay.
So R5 was a hero. That was a lot of fun. There was something else I was going to try and bring up, and I done forgot it now.
Well, I'll bring up something while you're thinking.
Go for it. Yeah.
So back at the bar or the Rebel base or whatever that is, base where he goes to see Carson.
We'll military kicking in. It's a FOB. It's a forward operating base. Go for it.
We'll go with that. So Filoni was there. He was in the background. He didn't have any kind of Star Wars outfit on. Looked like he had on his black jacket and his cowboy hat. And when Grogu was sitting on the bar eating his little chicken nuggies, and he looks up and he sees the IG-11 head, the trooper helmet right next to it that had like a that gave me Death Troopers, and I'm not talking about the black stormtroopers. I'm talking about the book.
With the zombie stormtroopers.
Yeah,
zombie stormtroopers.
Yeah, that it gave me that kind of vibe, and I was like, oh, because that was a good book. I don't know if you guys have read it or not.
I have.
Yeah, I thought that may have been the last one of the Legends books that I read. Oh, maybe
I read
there was Death Troopers, and I think Red Harvest was not its. I think Red Harvest was its prequel, wasn't it?
Ooh, I don't remember. I just know I didn't like that one as much as I did the Death Troopers, or whatever it was called.
No, you're right. That's what it was.
I don't know.
Look, covered vividly.
Look, Lucasfilms, do you think you have the grapes to make a zombie Star Wars show?
Sure. That would be an awesome.
Yeah, you know what?
The walking troops
presentation at Halloween.
They honestly they did though, in a sense, because there was that scene. There was an arc from the Clone Wars that dealt with the Geonosians and they were like
Oh yeah,
raised from the dead Geonosians. It was
right,
2
right.
or 3 episodes, I think.
But it wasn't as graphic as the book was. The
Oh
book.
no, it was no. It's a kids show. This Saturday morning kids show. Come on now.
So I'm saying
So
live
yeah,
action
I could see a live
Stormtrooper
action.
zombie movie.
That would make me happy.
Yeah.
We could do that.
And Debbie, I hadn't even noticed that Dave Filoni was in that scene, and now I'm sitting here thinking, hey, I use characters over and over again. Why don't I make myself a character so I can use myself over and over again?
Well, the first season, and The Prisoner, the episode called The Prisoner, I think that's what it was called, was The Prisoner, was he was one of the X-Wing fighter pilots. So I mean,
Mhm.
honestly, it makes sense that he would be at the
Well,
Rebel base.
earlier in this season when they were at that fob or whatever, he was there. So was Deborah Chow and the other guy. I can't remember his name. Yeah, all three of them were there. So
Oh boy, I can't wait to get my Dave Filoni spinoff series.
he will be part of the new Rogue Squadron movie that got canceled and
They
is
got
coming
canceled.
back.
Is
And they do
is Patty Jenkins still directing that? No?
I don't think
No,
so.
no, they shelved that whole movie, which I was kind of disappointed because I was kind of hoping for a Star Wars Top Gun type of,
Well,
dogfighting.
they did that whole series of books that are now legends. The Rogue One series. Was it not Rogue One?
Rogue Squadron.
X-Wing,
Thank you, Rogue
Yeah.
Squadron series.
and they
So,
had an X-Wing series too, right?
well, that's where it was. I'm sorry, yeah, it was X-Wing. I think one of them was called Rogue Squadron. One of the books. There was like 9 or 10 of those books, though, if I recall correctly. There's a lot of them, but which I didn't.
I
care
didn't get
for
into those.
very
I think I read one or two, and then that type of storyline I would rather watch than try to read.
Yeah.
That's just me.
So, yeah, they could definitely do that and tie in some more legends. I mean, goodness knows they've done enough of it. Anything else, Debbie? Did we miss anything?
Where's
your notes?
Possibly, I've got 3 pages here, people.
Oh, good lord.
Possibly to tie in with the whole Grogu is the Mandalorian, because we've seen Gideon crush the dark saber.
Oh, that's what I was trying to think of.
So, I mean, I don't know where it's at or if anybody grabbed it, but there's still a crystal in there, unless that was totally crushed. But
I was gonna say, really, to break the dark saber like he did, I don't see it being. I just see the motor, the reflector, all of that stuff being broken. The crystal is still intact. I'm gonna call it that the dark saber is repairable.
Yeah, I would think that if they did happen to grab it, that Grogu could take the crystal and build his own lightsaber.
No.
And therefore,
leave it with both
just like the very first Mandalorian, who he had a light, he was Jedi. Yeah. So keeping with the lore, I'm just saying, I'm just throwing shit out there. It's not cut in stone.
It would be fun, yes. And like I said, I think the darksaber now, when he crushed it, I was like, oh no. But then I was like, fix it. They can fix it.
Oh.
If they can fix Darth Maul, they can fix the darksaber.
Yep. I can see it now. Grogu gets the lightsaber, becomes a Jedi or some form of a Jedi or something. As the years go on, he becomes very disgruntled and changes his name to Yogurt.
Oh, yeah. I hate yogurt, especially with strawberries.
Use the Schwartz.
don't you have the Schwartz too? Well, see, he got the good side and I got the bad side. So there's two sides to every Schwartz.
Oh God, I love that movie.
I'm gonna relate a funny story. If you haven't seen the movie is Spaceballs. It's a Mel Brooks movie, and the only reason I say that is because there was a time we were at my Luke and myself, we were at a used bookstore, and we were standing in line, and the people in front of us had a little girl who was probably 8 or 9 years old, maybe 10, but she was sitting there talking to her mom and dad, and her mom and dad were obviously very young. And she looks at her mom and dad and she said, I think I want to be a druid. And me, sitting right behind them, of course, said, funny, she doesn't look druish. And they looked at me like I had snakes coming out of my nose. They're like, what are you talking? And I said, Spaceballs, have we not seen it? And then I looked at the guy at the register, and he's like,
Oh
what?
my
Come on,
God.
people.
I said, 1987, Mel Brooks, Spaceballs. They were. I think the mom even said I was born in like '95. So I was like, I said, okay. I said, go buy you a copy of Spaceballs, watch it, and then thank me later, because that's an amazing movie. But I just thought they were like, they were shocked. I was like, have you not seen the movie? That's funny. That's funny.
Oh,
I might have offended them, and if I did, and you're watching, I apologize. But it's funny. How dare you? How dare you insult somebody like that?
I take offense to that. I'm basically Jewish. My favorite movie's The Pianist.
I take offense to the fact that everyone takes offense
Yeah, that too.
for everything. Anyway,
So, what did you guys think of the very final scene?
with Din
Djarin at his house.
kicked back on the porch while
Chillaxing, watching the kid playing with his frogs.
while Ben Grogu is playing with the frogs.
I was fine with it until they did the
fade.
That's all, folks.
I think I'm gonna agree with you. I think that fade seemed out of place.
It was so out of place. Like, holy crap.
Well, but that also, because if you were to end a cartoon like that, let's say, because you just said it, that's all, folks. That's how they end. They end on the circle, and you focus on the one thing, and then it closes out, and you got the black screen, right? So that's why I was thinking, okay, this has got to be the end of Din Djarin's story. He will show up in further seasons of The Mandalorian, but he's not going to be the central character. As my thought is, because they did the swoop, and they
did it.
Well, they could have done it for that too. Yes, Stephanie, you're right.
Well, Lucas used that in all the movies, those transitions. He did that.
They were more prominent in the prequels.
Yeah,
they
true.
were very noticeable.
And he also did the circle thing, whatever you want to call it. He did it. I'm trying to think. I don't know if he did it. I was thinking he did it at the end of every first movie, like New Hope and Phantom Menace.
That's possible.
And
because
somebody was saying that just signified that was the end of part 1.
Oh. So maybe we'll have.
But I'm pretty sure I remember seeing that like at the end of New Hope and at the end of Menace.
You're right. Because now that you say that, I think you're right. And again, the reason for I mean, if you think about it, A New Hope was built as a self-contained story. I mean, other than the fact that Darth Vader got away, it was because, well, if this movie craps and fails, then at least it's just a self-contained. It's one movie. We don't have to go anywhere else with it. And then, of course, it did what it did, and it became what it is. And we made more movies and all that other kind of fun stuff. But yeah, I've never thought of it that way. But I'll have to go back and watch. Now I've got to go back and watch A New Hope and Phantom Menace on top of the Book of Boba Fett and Rogue One. It sounds like my weekend is shot.
You got to prioritize. You got to go with the best one first, which is obviously the Phantom Menace.
Bite your tongue.
Phantom Menace.
And
Nothing
obviously, we saved the best one for last, A New Hope. You save the best for last. That way, it leaves it. That's like when you got your meal in front of you, and you've got steak and a potato and the green beans. You eat your green beans first, so that you have the steak and potato flavor left in your mouth afterwards, and you don't have to worry about it. That's why we always eat dessert last, because we like having the sweet in our mouth. Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Debbie? Did we miss anything?
Just to go along with the odd ending or happy ending, because nobody died, thank God. Everybody pretty much got their happy ending except for Gideon, maybe.
Paz Vizsla.
Maybe. Yeah, Paz Vizsla.
Well, I meant in this last episode.
Paz Vizsla had a good ending because he died a warrior's death. He died a warrior's death.
Because there was a lot of speculation that somebody was going to die in this finale. And there was also, I mean, we didn't get a cliffhanger or nothing. Now, it was there. This season has been so divisive for the fans, because a lot of people have loved this season. A lot of people have hated this season. Same with the finale. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people hated it, because I think they were expecting epic season 2 ending with, Skywalker coming in with what he did. And we just got a nice little happy ending.
We didn't get a cameo.
Yeah. See, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed that I don't think it's the worst thing ever. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get a cameo. I would have loved to have seen something that led into Ahsoka. I would have loved to have seen Thrawn or Sabine. And it's like hey, here's a little teaser for Ahsoka that's coming up in August. But
yeah, that was what I read a lot was, I think a lot of people.
How's that?
A lot of people were hoping for Thrawn, but I thought, I don't know, I think that would have been out of place to me for Mando. And I mean, now I think it's more for Ahsoka than it is Mando.
And honestly,
at
with
this
Ahsoka,
point,
I don't even see, if Ahsoka is 8 episodes long. Let's say she's 8 episodes long. I don't see Thrawn making an appearance until like the 4th episode.
Or maybe towards the end, which will piss off a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
Where's Thrawn? Where haven't we seen Thrawn? Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Watch that one shot in the trailer where you see Thrawn walking and the camera's behind him. That's going to be the last shot of this season, and that's going to be the first introduction to him.
Yeah. Exactly. We've seen it already. We know what it is.
I don't know. I didn't dislike this finale. I mean, obviously you guys know that I don't give a crap about cameos or whatever, because that's just not me. But the finale as a whole did leave me kind of it left me wanting, and not necessarily, get me excited for the next season. It was more that the finale just felt kind of underwhelming, coming on. Yeah, coming off the back of such a strong pre-finale episode, this one just felt, I don't know, like there's a hurricane, and then this episode was just like a breeze.
Yeah.
Well, it could be like the calm before the storm too. We don't know what's going to happen in season 4.
If they had released it as a double, here's the season finale, and it's a 2-episode season finale.
Yeah.
and you could have watched it back to back and straight through. I wonder if it would have had. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that again now, see if it would have had a better. Yeah,
I mean,
I
it doesn't help that the episode's only, I mean, not counting the intro, the recap, and the end credits, the episode's only like 34 minutes long.
yeah.
Mhm.
So it just kind of blew right by in a flash. And before I knew it, it was over.
And then I was sad.
Yeah, I really wish, and the writers for Star Wars, whoever writes these shows and that, which is Filoni and Favreau, I think they should really take a good look at season 3 Picard. That is how you do a season. I mean, all the episodes were pretty much an hour long, well written. Not to say that, these haven't been well written, but I mean, there was ups and downs. Season 3 of Picard has not been like that. I mean, it has been pretty much a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 for all 10 episodes. And the
You hear that,
finale,
Filoni? We know you're watching.
the
Go watch
finale
season
was
3 of Picard, and
fantastic. I mean, join me Friday night on the Geek and I podcast, because we are going to be talking about it. So, but yeah, they need to take notes, because I don't get how they can do, one episode's 30 minutes, one episode is almost an hour, and then, you get one that's in between. The Picard finale was 62 minutes.
Shoot, don't tell me that. I still gotta watch it. I gotta watch it before tomorrow night, because.
Well, now you know how much time to plan.
Oh no, I'm gonna turn it on at work and watch it while I'm working.
Yeah, well, while I've liked each season of The Mandalorian, and I, kind of like Book of Boba Fett, whatever. Well, one thing I will say is that the pacing of each season feels really uneven because of the differing episode lengths. Mm-hmm. It's jarring to go from a solid like 51, 52-minute episode to like a 35-minute episode, and I truly, I don't know why they did that. If they had to, break it up, in some way, then why not at least make each episode like 45, 50 minutes
consistently?
Yeah. But that's just me. I mean,
yeah,
I don't like waiting a full week for an episode of Family Guy. So I mean, why would I?
That's because every show needs a hook, needs a gimmick of some kind, and this is their gimmick: is that their run times are inconsistent. Just a thought.
Well, I know that was one of the other complaints on the internet today, was that with this episode being so short, it felt rushed. Everything felt rushed. I mean, yeah, it was action packed. I enjoyed it. I really liked it. But yeah, I mean, I think they could have slowed it down a little bit, maybe had some more fights. And
I wouldn't say that it felt rushed, but it felt like not a lot happened. I mean, the fights were fun. I mean, the jetpack dogfight was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, Bo-Katan fighting Moff Gideon was a lot of fun to watch. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of all it really felt like, was just a few sequences that were fun to watch.
Oh, that was my one complaint. Somebody explained to me how, with all the flying that they did between this episode and the previous episode, they didn't run out of fuel. Whereas when they went to go follow the dragon, or whatever the heck that thing was, they ran out of fuel.
How do you know that dragon thing wasn't a long further way away?
Well, they didn't make it seem that way, but it just seemed like they ran out of fuel so quickly. And then yet they're flying all over the place in these 2 episodes, and nobody runs out of fuel. I mean, hello. Just my little bitch. That was my little bitch of the episode.
Their jetpacks are solar powered.
Yeah. Yeah. They are green Mandalorians. Anyway, do we have anything else, Debbie? Did we get everything?
I think so. I mean, I did love Grogu doing the little force bubble when the explosion was happening.
The again, here's my pun. This was my dad pun, and I told this to Luke, and he just looked at me. The force field.
Well, it killed me because
Ah,
I had to laugh at that little scene because,
that
Din
was
is
funny,
there.
Cam, and you know it.
Din
See
was
that
there.
what you just did? That was funny.
Din was there, and Grogu's sitting there, and then Bo slides in with her little shield. I'm like, what the hell is that shield gonna do with all that fire? I mean, really? Did you really?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop a waterfall with a trash can lid.
And honestly, the the build up to that, which I thought was great, because he crushed the Darksaber. Gideon crushes the Darksaber, and he says something like, "Mandalorians, if you take away their trinkets, they're nothing." And she says, "No, Mandalorians work better together." And then all three of them converged, and yes, they all worked better together. They all fought at one point or another. Grogu was throwing things around and knocking Gideon's weapons out of the way, things like that. So the teamwork play.
They won
Yeah,
with the power of friendship.
That's right.
Because
We had each
her
other.
because Bo and Din can defeat him on their own. It took, like you said.
Whoa!
Quit it.
Was that the cat?
Yes, that was the cat, Chewie,
I haven't seen her today. She's hiding.
laying in front of me.
Oh,
Hello.
Cat cam.
Hello. Yeah, so they both failed on their own. It wasn't until they all came together, or at least two of them teamed up, that they were able to supposedly defeat Gideon. So
it's been an enjoyable season, honestly. And I was talking to Luke about this too. I said I think I enjoyed season 2 the most of all. I think season 2 for me was the better of the 3 seasons thus far. It's just there was just a lot going on there. There was a lot of. I like Cobb Vanth. Shoot me. I don't care.
I like him too.
He's a good character.
Yeah.
I hope he shows up in either 4 or 5. So
we need him back. Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, we know you're watching. We want him back. Bring him back.
And I hope it doesn't take them 2 years to come out with season 4.
Oh God, help me! I know.
Season 4. Favreau said season 4 has been written, and they're now writing season 5. So,
well, get on the ball, guys.
Finish the one
filming
before you go to the next one.
I'm just like, come on, let's not make it a 2-year wait like this one was. A lot of people were. That was another thing people were upset about, that they waited 2 years for this season, and like you said, there wasn't that
Well, was it 2 years, or was it even more? Because
might have been 2.5. I'm not sure.
Didn't the first season start at 2019, or was it 2020?
19. That was the first season.
So 2020 would have been the second season, and then Book of Boba Fett fell in there somewhere, probably 2021. So, and we don't really count that because it's Din's story, but whatever.
It's Din's story. Boba Fett's just the guy that gets us there.
Yeah, that's right.
I was disappointed there was no Boba Fett in this episode. I was, because I thought for sure with all the Mandalorians gathering that he would be there.
In fact,
no cameos and throwbacks. Worst Star Wars ever.
In fact, it would not have surprised me at all if and this would have been the perfect spot for it. Is they're loading up the ships, and they're flying down, and the TIE bombers and TIE interceptors are coming after the cruiser, and they're blowing up the cruiser, and then all of a sudden here comes Slave One out of nowhere, and he's helping protect the cruiser to some degree.
Boba Fett's starship?
No, Slave One. We say
No.
Slave One on this show. How dare you, sir?
Cam.
Okay, shameless self-promotion. Debbie, what you got?
Tomorrow night, Geek and I podcast, 8:00 Eastern.
I think I'm
We
going
are-
to try and be on that one as well. I think John Biscardi wants as many of us as
Right.
can be.
So yeah, we'll be. Today was the season finale of Picard. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It was excellent. I might have shed a tear or two during that episode, but yeah. So we'll be discussing that, and then MCU Monday. From what I understand, we are discussing Andor.
Ooh, nice.
Chris
Does that
said,
mean I get to go watch Andor again?
Is Andor Mephisto?
well, I asked him, I was like, are we doing a show Monday? And if so, what are we watching or what are we doing? And he goes, I think we'll do Andor. That'll motivate me to watch it. He is not going in with an open mind. I can guarantee that. So
Oh, no, he's not. Chris,
he has
Chris
not been
is-
a fan of the Star Wars shows. So
I was going to say Chris has been very hard-hearted since the Disney acquisition. So
yeah, so I would expect a lot of Chris rants, which he's very good at. I always
Yeah.
look forward to them because they amuse me. So
yeah, oh yeah, they're hilarious.
they make me laugh.
Cam, shameless self-promotion.
New Cam and Focus came out today.
Saw that. Watched it, yeah,
A few hours ago, actually. It's definitely a very different video from what I've typically done. I don't really analyze any movies or anything like that. I kind of talk about the state of the Star Wars fandom and how it affects my enjoyment of the franchise. It's just a quick 5-minute video. Go watch it if you haven't. It's definitely a ranty kind of video. Not everybody's going to agree with it. But just letting you know, if you don't agree with it, you're one of those people.
Yeah, that's right. You're part of the problem.
No, but I look at both sides of the argument, and I think every Star Wars fan will find a bit of themselves in it.
Probably.
Cool. As far as I go, we have Fan Expo coming up. This was just announced today. Carrie Ann Moss is going to be at Fan Expo this year.
Trinity herself.
Trinity will be at the expo, and we cannot wait. Both myself and Dave Gramillion will be at the expo covering it. I'm going to try and do some live streams from it. Let's see. I'm trying to think who else. Hayden Christensen was going to be there. Chevy Chase is going to be there. Rosario Dawson's going to be there. Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be there.
Really?
I'm actually kind of excited about that one.
I would
Charlie
be
Cox.
too.
So we'll have the Daredevil crew. Danny Trejo will be there. They announced now that Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes, Brian O'Halloran, and Jeff Anderson from Clerks are all going to be there. Sean Gunn is going to be there. Peter Weller will be there. It's going to be off the hook. It's going to be a lot of fun. 3 days, June 9th through the 11th at Dallas Convention Center. If you get the chance to come down to Dallas, or if you live in the Dallas area, go to Fan Expo. Like I said, myself and Dave Gramillion will be there all 3 days. It's just going to be it's going to be a lot of fun. You can come find us and say hi. It's great. We will be back next week with Cantina happy hour. And I know we don't have a show to talk about, but don't worry about it. I've got some ideas.
So do I.
Everything- Oh, look at that. Debbie being proactive about it. Very nice.
Doesn't happen very often, folks.
Also, check out Captain's Logs and Lightsabers podcast. Yeah, actually, you can watch any one of our shows. Our YouTube shows are converted to podcasts, and they're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. You'll just look for Geek News Now. Don't look for GNN. Look for Geek News Now. Saturdays, Geek Gauntlet. I had to stop and think for a minute. Geek Gauntlet is on Saturday evenings. Go check it out. We cover Star Wars. MCU Mondays covers the MCU. Geek Gauntlet covers like everything. They touch on
Gaming,
everything.
anime, Star Wars, DC, MCU,
Yeah,
whatever's big happening that week, they talk about it.
Actually, I was on last week or week before last. I was on the Geek Gauntlet. So, yep. Oh, there he is. Hi, William. He is on.
Show up at the last of the show.
At the last of the show. Yeah.
Thanks,
see how it
William.
is.
See where we rank on your priority list.
Anyway. Oh, there he is. There he goes. Well, that is going to be it for us this week. We will see you all next week. But until then, may the force